Chaps here from Dimp Digital. Welcome to Idle Game Chat. On this edition, I'm joined by Mr. Logan, and he's going to give us his thoughts and impressions of the recent Battlefield 5 beta, which took place. Logan, how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad,
Excellent. So, open beta on Battlefield this past weekend.
Yeah.
And you dived in, had a few games, and we all bought Battlefield, not all of us, but a few of us bought Battlefield 1, didn't we? When that released, a couple of years back. You were primarily a COD man up until that point, potentially. Was there any rationale behind the switch to Battlefield 1? Or was you always been a bit of a Battlefield fan since, the OG ones back in the day?
I had some of the earlier Battlefields.
Yeah.
I definitely pretty sure I had Battlefield 3, and I definitely had Battlefield 4.
Right.
So I did have some history, but I was more testing the waters with them. Battlefield 1 really hooked me because of the World War II aspect, or World War One.
Yeah,
World War One aspect. So that's what intrigued me, and it was something a bit different. As I say, I was clamouring for ages to get away from this futuristic bollocks and go back to basics, and that's kind of what it was offering me. So I got sort of caught by the hook of that, because I liked the idea of having that really immersive experience in the World War One battles.
Yeah. So I mean, it's quite different though, Battlefield, from Call of Duty in terms of its style. Obviously, the amount of players on the map is far larger. Mm-hmm. Do you have a preference between the two, or do you just sort of, not that you play a lot of Call of Duty these days, and I can't remember the last time you bought it. Probably, I'd guess a few years back at least.
Advanced Warfare, I think, was the last one I actually bought.
Yeah, which is like breakneck job, isn't it, COD, compared to Battlefield in terms of...
Oh, my older brain now can't keep up with it. It's too, or it got to a point where it was too quick and too manic, and there was no, I've always been I've never been one to get a shotgun out or be too aggressive. I quite like to take my time and sort of play the game at my speed. And I felt like Call of Duty was making that difficult to have different play styles that can all be successful. And I always felt like it was trying to, eliminate camping or whatever, or just make it as frantic as possible and, have a 7-minute game and move you on as quick as it can to the next. And that's almost... Battlefield, to a certain extent, is almost the antithesis of that, where you can play it exactly how you want. The games can last up to an hour.
Yeah.
And you could find yourself at a point A, for example, that's about a bloody 5-minute run from the next point. And that's the reality of it. Is the scale is so much different, and the play is a lot, or can be, in the conquest modes, a lot slower. So I think as I've changed, or the games have changed, I've swung more to the Battlefield style.
Yeah.
And obviously there's a lot less customization bollocks and all that to it. It's very much like there's no, you historically you've got your class, you can unlock some stuff, but ultimately the progression is almost irrelevant. You can pick up what you need from the start and crack on. Yeah,
and it makes it easiest to jump into. So moving from Battlefield 1 to Battlefield 5, the question that's burnt into my mind is, have they sorted them fucking menus out? Because on Battlefield 1, that was almost a reason not to play it at times, just how slow and... I have memories, I don't know if I've made this up in my head as time's gone on, of the game just locking up almost and having to close it down and start it up again.
Yeah, that all happened.
It was genuine.
When you tried to... it was mainly when they first released it. If you tried to exit mid-game, it just didn't like it. And it amazed me that we're in this day and age that it just went, nah, you can't be doing that. I don't know how that got through QA. I really don't, because they must have had the same problem. But anyway, the menus were delightfully a lot smoother. So you could get in and out a lot quicker, which was genuinely it shouldn't be that much of a problem. But I genuinely thought when I downloaded it and opened it up, I thought they've got those fucking menus are all shit again. I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah, it's enough.
I still feel like they can be clearer. Like, I still feel like if they went for a more minimalist approach, it'd be better.
They still got big pictures and like art trying to decipher what the modes are and whatnot. So I have these memories of like huge panels with like a picture of someone in a war zone, and it's like conquest or campaign. It's like fuck me. I don't need 2 options per screen. Give me 8 so I can quickly get to what I need to.
It's more in a menu style. It was on the beta anyway.
Yeah.
Which is kind of welcome, and I think that maybe that they've gone back to that because that was what was fucking slowing the menus down before all that shit on there. But I don't know. I felt like it's, I always thought it was nicely presented at the very least. I always thought it looks nice.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's always found it odd that it doesn't have like a gun custom or class customization or something like that, and I think that was lacking again. It's like you can only actually customize your classes on this one when it's a beta, right?
Yeah.
So it's not a full release, but I had to go in there and start seeing what was what. But they've sped that up, and I think they've just tried to make it a little bit cleaner on the UI.
Yeah, obviously it goes from World War One to World War Two. When you actually get down and play the game itself, did it feel like a jump in Wars, or did it feel very similar to what Battlefield 1 was offering a couple of years back?
It felt very similar, I must admit. I mean, obviously you can tell by the environment that you're in that it's a different war.
Yes.
But in terms of the gun, I mean, put it this way, I just picked up... when I first jumped in, I had an assault rifle, so obviously that's a little bit different. So you can tell the gun was different. But the sniper, for example, it's almost negligible, the difference. There's not much difference at all. You wouldn't tell that you're from one game to another in my eyes.
Yeah, that's a bit of a worry. But I guess it's one of those things that as time goes on, the game will feel the same despite the change in time, unless they went for a Call of Duty a few years back and go full future, and that, as you said, got it to breakneck speeds that your brain couldn't handle. So perhaps it's better it is down there. There's a couple of modes available in the beta. Which one did you kind of spend your time in? Because we know what Conquest is. That's like the staple mode of. They're the ones that can run for up to an hour long. So if you want to be sitting, and you can still lose quite easily. But yeah, that's the long hour one. But I think you spent some time in the Grand Operations and Breakthrough mode.
Yes, yeah. So it's a little bit. Well, it seemed like it was something a little bit different. So I thought I didn't really want to sit there for an hour in Conquest because, you say, you kind of, you know what you're getting from it. So I was like, I'll do something a little bit shorter and try and get through some of the different game modes and maps and stuff. And it appeared to be some kind of hold the points and don't let the enemy break through.
Yeah,
it was kind of I can't remember the game mode they had on Battlefield 1.
Yeah,
but it was basically you capture one point A and then you can move towards point B sort of mode.
You did that several times in order to win the round, essentially. Yeah.
And the first game that I played, I was just kind of got just dumped in the middle of it, and I was like, Jesus, what's going on here? Like trying to get my bearings, trying to figure it out. But I got to a couple of the points, captured them and stuff.
Yeah,
it's just so hard because there's no kill cams on it or anything.
No,
you're literally, you'll run somewhere and you'll just go dead. You go right. You go, I don't know where he is, and you think, I'll go back and have a look at him. Dead. You go right. I don't know where he is. It's stressing me out. So you think, right, I'll sort of, get on my belly and have a crawl around. Dead. Right. I'm sick of that. I ain't going to get anywhere. So you go somewhere else, and it's that is what it's like. It was. There's no other word for it. It was absolute snipper heaven. Everyone was loving it. I reckon about 85% of people had a sniper.
Right.
And as I say, they've got bullet drop and stuff, and it it's fun. It's good when you hit one and stuff.
You like a
but it's just,
good old sniper session, didn't you?
yeah, I do. I spent most of my time with a sniper because I was trying to get used to it. But it's just hard to. That's the problem with it. You can go into a game and you think, right, you can run for 5 minutes and get your head taken off by someone, and you go dead, and you don't even know where they are to avoid them.
Yeah.
But as I say, it's my TV and console probably don't quite do the graphics justice.
Okay.
But even on my small TV with a 4-year-old Xbox, it looked great. It felt like a step up graphically, and with some of the motions and stuff like that, it felt better. They've done a lot of work on that.
Yes.
But really, when most of the time when you're in, first person mode, it's quite hard to
well, you just try to stay alive, ain't you? You can't really take a knee and have a little look round because you're going to get your fucking head taken off. So you need to be roaring round and moving. One thing I kind of love about Battlefield is the vehicle nature of it. Obviously, there's tons of vehicles you can jump in and whatnot. And in the last few iterations is the destruction of the environment around you, particularly buildings. Being able to just get in a tank, and if there's people camping out in there, you go, well, you're not having that anymore. You can fucking ram raid through it. Are these kind of Battlefield pieces of DNA still in Battlefield 5?
I'll be honest and say the game modes that I had didn't have vehicles in.
Bloody hell!
We know
they're there though.
Yeah, generally the vehicles are isolated to the conquest modes. They have found themselves in some other modes, but generally they're in the conquest mode that I obviously didn't play. But what was interesting about the mode that I played is that you can fortify. So you can basically build defences around the position you're trying to defend, obviously if you're on the defending team. Yeah. So they let you do that, but as I say, there wasn't a lot of granadas coming in. As I said, I didn't ever get blown up by a grenade. I just got my head taken off.
Yeah.
So it's obviously a different philosophy in that they don't want all these environments just fucking brought down to rubble in that game mode. But it's I should imagine, I'd hope they're still there because they had it in Battlefield 4. They expanded on that in Battlefield 1.
Yeah.
And I should expect it will be in this one in Battlefield 5 as well.
Yeah. I know you was playing with Pee-wee for a couple of sessions. Were you forced to... I know that one of the things that Battlefield does, and it kind of puts you in a squad throughout the match, and then you can spawn on your squad, and I think there are supposed to be benefits and buffs of working together in a team, but if you're playing against or with randomers, everyone tends to split off anyway. But is that squad basis still there if you want to do it in a small group of you? Yeah,
so you end up in a squad of 4, and you can still spawn on your squad, and you get you get like extra points and stuff for spawning on your squad and sticking together. So they do encourage that, but you can just essentially splinter off as well. One thing I did notice is that you bloody run out of ammo very quickly. That is a real pain in the arse if you're just letting off. So you kind of do need support. Ideally, you need a support person to give you that extra ammo, and you can... Basically, the new little feature I think I mentioned to you before that I quite like is that when you actually get shot, you're not actually dead. You get an option and a timer of basically you can slow the timer down if you call for a medic and wait for it. Medic. So I could basically slow the timer down of me respawning. Yeah. So for example, if you're a medic, I go, I'm down, come and get me, and I can slow that down. Or if I go, right, I'm out here in the middle of nowhere, there's no chance, I can speed it up. Right, I see. So that's handy. And you can sort of like while you're doing it, you can look around and you like reach out with your arm and you're going medic. I quite liked that. Like they've added.
Can someone come along and like execute you when you're on the floor, or are you sort of immune at that point?
I wondered this because obviously when I killed other people, I thought, are they like in a
down
mode
but not
where I
out?
can just put them down, but they're just dead.
Right. Okay.
That's how it seemed to me. Like the other team can't kill you.
Right, I see.
It's just you choose to die, or you can choose for a medic to come and pick you up. But
yeah,
I thought that was quite a nice little touch, because I thought that the problem with games now is that they're at a point where it's hard to evolve an FPS on to the next level. Does that make sense? Like the certain mechanics and stuff that are entrenched and that are established and that are good, and I think it's all the peripheries around it that make it that little bit more immersive.
Yeah.
And stuff like that I thought was quite good. And like, when you run over, you can basically walk over people's bodies and pick up ammo. Rather than it just adding to your ammo, he actually picks up a pack, like an ammo pack, and puts it in his pocket. Like, there's certain little bits like that they've added that I thought that were nice little touches.
Yeah.
And when you're like prone, you basically are laying on your back or on your front. So if you're moving backwards, you can see your legs pushing you back.
Oh yeah,
and stuff like that. Like, it's just like nice additional touches that just add to the immersion in the game, which I thought were quite cool.
Yeah, it sounds like they've made a few little touches here and there to, like you say, give you that added bit of immersion. You mentioned earlier that the some of the response to the beta has been that some are saying it's the most evolutionary for years, and you said you didn't really get that from your playtime.
No,
can you kind of explain on where that conflict's coming from? Because they'll be coming after you when they hear this.
Yeah, I mean, I still enjoyed it, but when I switched it on and sort of jumped into a game, it just felt very much like any other Battlefield or any, it didn't strike me as saying that I went, oh, this is all different. I mean, you push in the stick to run, you aim down sight, the bullet drops there, there's recoil on a gun. I don't know. I don't know. Other than, I mean, there's some interesting things that I noticed. There's fog that tends to come along, and the weather seems to be a bit interchangeable as well. So whether they're referencing that, but yeah, I'm not quite. It feels very much like a part 2 to Battlefield 1.
Yeah.
Because I thought Battlefield 1 actually was quite evolutionary in what it did, bringing that sort of, having horseplay, and there's tanks there, and there was such a variety of stuff going on in that game. I thought that was quite an evolutionary game in the term, in going back to that Battlefield, that historic period, retelling stories and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't play through the whole of the campaign, but I know that was well received as well, telling stories of the war. And I felt like that was probably one of the most realistic Battlefield simulators, if you like, they've had. And I think going back to that sort of time period, I don't think there's any other game that's kind of come near to touching that. And then what I'm trying to do as well is compare this World War II game to Call of Duty World War II.
Right, okay.
Obviously, Call of Duty is less of a simulator now. It's more of a artistic license around a period.
Yes.
But it feels like they're just evolving a little bit around from the World War One aspect that they had, changing the guns up, adding in some cosmetic nice-to-haves, and that's how it felt to me. But as I say, it's only a beta.
Yeah.
And I only played what ultimately will be a few short games of one mode, so it's hard to jump to conclusions when other people have probably had a load more time with it.
Yeah, is it got on the sniff list of, or the sniffometer, I should say, for something that could be purchased this year? Because it's been a while since you've bought a new game outright, and well, I could be wrong. Not that I keep tracks on your bank statements or anything, but I don't remember you coming into the DIMP group saying, "Oh, I'm playing this. Or I've just bought this." Is this on the list that potentially could break that particular barren run?
Possibly. I think the problem is I really like the look of the new Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I think again it's always got good. The one thing you can always say for Call of Duty is it's great value for money.
Yes.
I know that Blackout mode's got great reviews, initial reviews anyway. So that's kind of on the sniffometer. But obviously, this is supposed to have a battle royale mode as well. So that'll be interesting. I think there's definitely a place in my life for a first-person shooter. It was Battlefield 1. I really enjoyed my time on that. I then moved on to Modern Warfare Remastered. I've had my time on that. So there's definitely space for a new one. Could this, this could easily be it, but it's I'm always concerned now with buying games because, as I say, I could easily pick it up and just feel like Battlefield 1 with a little bit bolted on. And as I say, at the moment, I've still got Battlefield 1 and they're giving the Battle Pass away for nothing, or whatever they called it. I can't remember.
That premium pass
for nothing.
Yeah.
And
that
gives you everything. Yeah, so I don't know. Potentially, I'd like to see more of it, but there's a lot going on at the end of this year, gaming-wise. So I make no commitments.
Yeah, I mean, one of the modes that's I've lost track of what's happened with Battlefield's development, but I know they were teasing some sort of battle royale mode. And what's fascinating towards the back end of this year is we've had for the past 18 months or so, we've had PUBG come along and kind of popularised the mode. Fortnite come along and took its lunch money and expanded on it, giving building mechanics. And they were kind of two, Epic are a huge company, and the PUBG group were come out of nowhere, but they weren't like established franchises that introduced the mode. And I'm fascinated to see how Call of Duty, and especially this Blackout mode, does against the likes of PUBG and Fortnite, because that's an established, polished, value for money proposition coming out that has tons of modes, and also it might have this killer battle royale mode as well. The kicker is obviously the reason why Fortnite's done well. One of the reasons is it's free. So you can't get an easier sort of gateway drug into it. But I am fascinated to see whether established franchises like Call of Duty and Battlefield, who have obviously in the last 18 months pivoted their development so they could include these modes, seeing how popular they've got. And I want to see how they're received and whether it kind of breaks up the Fortnite and crushes down and stomps PUBG out once and for all. But, because they're coming with major resources and well-established, experienced teams that can do some really good stuff, but will they have the charm of a PUBG or a Fortnite?
Yeah, I think that I've already seen it mentioned that Blackout is a PUBG killer. So we'll see. We haven't seen too much of what Battlefield are offering, but where EA are, where DICE are, there's resources and there's money. So you imagine that it'll be good.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine it being bad. The one thing, just for when we ended this, or to end it, sorry, I wanted to go give you one particular piece of intel. The Cohen Group, who are gaming industry analysts, reported that pre-order sales for Battlefield 5 were what's classed as weak, and they were 85% behind Black Ops 4.
Yeah. It doesn't surprise me.
Don't bode well, does it? Because what you've got Blackout, which is getting a lot of buzz for COD Black Ops 4, and then you've got Red Dead 2 lurking, which will snatch away, some people outside of the hardcore market that might have gone for a Battlefield in October. And this is now been pushed back to November the 20th, so they've kind of got an extra month to develop it and whatnot. But you do wonder whether the timing of this release could be planned out better, and perhaps Battlefield can't go toe-to-toe with Call of Duty in this sort of rush period, because you've in the last few years you've shown that really there's only enough space for one at a time. Yeah,
there is. Yeah, and then the problem is they've also tried chucking out Battlefront as well. In a similar time frame, and it overloads you.
Every year you get something from DICE and EA that's either Battlefront or Battlefield.
Yeah, so they're chucking it out and churning it out, and I've seen stuff mentioned as well that says they've taken a lot of the mechanics from Battlefront 2 and chucked them in Battlefield 5. So if you played Battlefront 2 a lot, you'd probably be pretty familiar with what they're chucking out into Battlefield 5 as well.
Yeah, that's it. The one win for consumers is that they have said there's not going to be any paid DLC or loot boxes in it for like non-cosmetic items in Battlefield 5. So they seem to have learnt the lesson from Battlefront 2, which got absolutely crapped on for all that. But any last words for Battlefield 5 before we close it down and let everyone get on with their lives?
No, I would probably just say that if you're out there looking for a war simulator, if you like, or a World War II war simulator, there's probably not going to be anything better out there for you.
No.
What it does, everyone knows what it does well. It will give you that massive, that battle, those hour-long battles, battles that Call of Duty won't. So if you like those, it's probably going to deliver again.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, thanks for joining us, Logan.
No worries.
We'll return with whatever else takes our fancy here at Dimp Digital, but nothing more for us to say apart from thanks for your time and ta-da.